What if I told you that the coin in your pocket was never really invented to be money? For thousands of years, humans traded goods directly. A goat for grain, tools for cloth. But somewhere along the way, something strange happened. People stopped trading things and started trading pieces of metal that had no real use at all. Why would anyone agree to that? Who convinced an entire civilization that a small round disk was worth more than the food they needed to survive? And why did nearly every culture on Earth, separated by oceans and mountains, arrive at the same idea? To understand that, we have to go back to a problem that almost broke early human trade. Imagine you're a farmer with extra wheat, but you need shoes. The shoemaker doesn't want wheat, he wants meat. So now you need to find someone who has meat and wants wheat, so you can trade with them first, before you can trade with the shoemaker. Economists call this the double coincidence of wants. It sounds simple, but it's actually a massive obstacle. As populations grew, this system started collapsing under its own weight. That's when ancient societies began searching for something else, something everyone would accept, no matter what they needed. In Mesopotamia, temples started using silver by weight as a reference for trade as early as 3000 BCE. Not coins yet, just metal, weighed out like sugar or salt. But here's where things get strange. Weight alone wasn't enough. Every time someone traded silver, they had to verify its purity. Was it real silver? Was it mixed with cheaper metal? This created a massive trust problem. And trust, as it turns out, is the real currency behind all currency. Then, around 600 BCE, something happened in a kingdom called Lydia, in modern-day Turkey, that changed human history forever. The Lydians created the first true coins made from electrum, a natural mix of gold and silver. But the real innovation wasn't the metal, it was the stamp. By pressing a royal symbol onto each coin, the king was doing something no one had done before. He was putting his reputation behind the value of the metal. Suddenly, people didn't need to test each coin's purity. They just had to trust the symbol. And that single decision solved the trust problem that had plagued trade for centuries. This is where psychology enters the story. Human brains are wired to trust symbols of authority. A study published in the Journal of Experimental Psychology found that people subconsciously assign higher credibility to objects marked with official-looking seals or emblems, even without verifying their authenticity. The Lydian king wasn't just making coins, he was hacking the human brain's trust system, centuries before neuroscience even existed. But here's the real mystery. Coins didn't just spread because they were useful. They spread because they made power visible. Once kings realized that coins carried their image and authority into every marketplace, every home, every transaction, they understood something incredible. A coin wasn't just money, it was propaganda you could hold in your hand. Alexander the Great used this exact strategy. His coins traveled from Greece to India, carrying his face and his legend into lands his armies hadn't even reached yet. People who never saw Alexander in person still knew his face because his coins did the talking. Then scientists and historians discovered something even more unexpected. Coins weren't just about economics or propaganda, they were reshaping human cognition itself. A study from the University of Cambridge on the history of monetary systems suggests that the invention of standardized currency accelerated abstract thinking in early civilizations. Why? Because coins forced humans to assign a numerical value to physical objects, something our brains weren't naturally built to do. Suddenly, people were mentally converting sheep, wheat, and land into a single abstract number. This wasn't just trade evolving, this was the human mind evolving. But why did coins appear independently in places like China, India, and Lydia, all around the same era, with no contact between them? Some researchers argue this wasn't a coincidence. Anthropologist Jack Weatherford, who studied the history of money extensively, proposed that once societies reach a certain level of complexity in population size, trade networks, and governance, the invention of currency becomes almost inevitable. In other words, coins weren't created by one genius. They were the natural output of human civilization reaching a tipping point. That's when everything changed. Once coins existed, they didn't just represent value. They created entirely new human behaviors: greed, ambition, debt, wealth inequality, trade wars, taxation systems. Entire empires rose and fell based on the strength of their currency. Rome's economy weakened significantly when emperors began debasing their coins, mixing in cheaper metals to stretch their treasury, a decision historians point to as one of the early symptoms of imperial decline. You might think coins were simply a tool, but the deeper you look, the more it seems like coins reshaped human society, human trust, and even human thought itself. And here's something that should genuinely unsettle you. The coins in your pocket today, or the numbers sitting silently in your bank account, work on the exact same principle the Lydians discovered almost 2,600 years ago. You don't trust the metal. You don't even see most of your money anymore. You trust a symbol, a system, an idea agreed upon by millions of strangers who will never meet each other, yet somehow believe in the same invisible contract. So maybe the real invention wasn't the coin at all. Maybe the real invention was convincing millions of people across thousands of years to believe in something that has no value on its own, until we all agree that it does. And if an entire civilization can be built on a shared belief in a piece of metal, what other invisible beliefs are quietly shaping your life right now without you ever questioning them?